Hi everyone, and we are back. So we have our first base coat down on this figure. I'm going to try to adjust my focus again. There we go. And as you can tell, it is thin. Some of the gray parts of the figure are showing through, and that's fine. We just wanted to get a base color down. We're going to do multiple coats. But after I do my first base coat, I like to start with some of the shading. So I usually go with the Army Painter Strong Tone. There's many options of washes that you can use, but this is my go-to favorite. And so I'm just going to put some of that over here in a dry palette. So this is one thing you don't want to get any more watery than it is, really. You know, you can, if you want a really thin wash, you can add a couple drops of alcohol or water or something, but most of the time right out of the bottle is fine for these washes. So here's the figure. I'm just going to kind of liberally apply this to start with. The paint, if it's not 100% dry, that's okay, because you can get some interesting effects with that by mixing the shade in with the paint. Because what we're really trying to do here is just get some dark shadows down into the grooves of the sculpt, and that's really the whole point, so that we can bring out the sculpt. And you will want to apply this quite liberally, and we can wipe off excess later if we need to. But we want to get this really deep, especially the helmet. You want a lot into the grooves of the helmet. And these are armored figures, so they have a lot of details that you want to bring out. And the shading or the washes is the perfect way to accomplish that in most cases. So you see now it's getting a little muddy right here because that wasn't completely dry. I'm just going to wipe some of that off. And I'm going to just kind of drop some more in there. So it's up to you. If you let your figures dry 100%, you'll get a better, sharper shadowing. If you leave them a little bit damp, then you're going to get the more faded, muddy effect. And obviously you can do this and then let it dry and then come back later and do another one after it's fully dry. Layering is the best method to get your figures to look as good as possible. So it does take multiple layers. Just keep going here. Get it all up in there. And on the gun, you definitely want a lot, because the gun is probably going to be black anyway, to be honest. So we're gonna probably paint the gun black and then do some different kind of effects. So there you go. Now we can just kind of brush off some of the excess if we want to, but try not to get parts off that you want. You know, so there's multiple ways of taking off the excess. You can use a cloth. Since this is acrylic and non-toxic, I often honestly use my finger to wipe off excess, because your finger pulls it off of the top, but it's definitely going to leave it into the cracks and the grooves where you want it. Now, you know, your finger's going to get messy, of course, so you will have to wash it later. And if you have skin sensitivities, then I probably don't recommend it. Wearing a glove is not going to work as well. So if that's the case, then you probably just want to use like a makeup sponge. You can also use that to wipe off excess, and that will work usually pretty much as well as your finger will. You can use a cloth, but it will possibly get too much off. It might get down into the grooves where you actually want everything to stay. Okay, that's good for now for our first couple of coats. We've got the base color down, we've got the base shadowing effect down, and now we're going to let that fully dry and come back and do some dry brushing, highlighting, and possibly more shadows.